Hello and welcome to another Broken Meeple video, and today it's Obscurio. Ooh, mysterious. Ooh. Yeah, this is from Libellud Games, and they are the same people who did Mysterium, and Mysterium's been a very popular co-op with many people, with the idea of mixing the likes of Dixit over there with, a kind of Cluedo whodunit type story. It's a really cool game, and it's still in my collection. Here it is, with people still stop trying to rag on it and trying to replace it every chance they get, I seem to find. This is another one of those games where people have come out and said, oh yeah, this is a cool game, and it replaced Mysterium for me. Why is everyone desperate to replace Mysterium all of a sudden? It's like with Splendor. Everybody's trying to replace Splendor. Why aren't those games good enough for you? Were they not good in the first place? I still love Mysterium even after this one. So, slight spoiler alert, but still, it's kind of, I don't get why everyone's trying to replace it. But enough with that. What on earth's this one? Well, this is still keeping in that line of the whole, Dixit picture cards. Here, it's a competitive game, though, in a sense. It's, team all versus one, in a sense. You've got a team of people who are trying to escape this library, and this magic book has appeared, and it's trying to direct you out of the library. You have to succeed in 6 different rooms, which is basically pick the right exit, in order to get out. But one of you, for reasons unknown, is a traitor and is trying to keep you within the library. Let's say they've succumbed to it. I can think of several bookworm friends that I have where I'm like, yeah, you know what? You'd be the first person to try and keep me within this library, and I'd be the first person to try and get the hell out of Dodge. But with this one, you have another ghost character, effectively, who directs the game and can't communicate with the other players except via this really cool book that they have with 2 slots in it. And what they have is these circular picture cards, very much like Dixit and Mysterium and Detective Club and that kind of surreal artwork. They put them in each slot, 1 in each slot, and use these 2 little pointers to point out aspects on them. And it could be whatever they want them to be. The players have to try and interpret it. Once that is done, then there's a little kind of sleep phase where everybody closes their eyes, and the traitor gets to pick some additional cards to throw into the mix along with the real one, which they don't necessarily know which it is. But they basically look at this selection of cards and go, that's pretty similar to what you're trying to go there. The blue and the whimsical nature, I'm going to pick that one, and that one. That's going to throw them off, tee-hee-hee-ha-ha. But once they're all laid out with 6 of them, you have these little trap tokens that basically make life harder, like adding a 7th, meaning you can't see them all at once, meaning you've got less time to do it. And in a certain time limit, you have to guess which exit it is, which picture card relates to the one that he's been showing us into the book. And obviously the person who is being the traitor doesn't know which one the right answer is, but isn't trying to direct them onto the right answer. They're trying to stay hidden and keep them in the library, whereas everybody else has to kind of discuss with each other in co-op style, much like in Mysterium. I think it's that one, the one with the giant tortoise, but come on, can't you see the candles there at the back? He's totally talking about this one. And once you've started picking, it's revealed. If at least one person gets it right, you go through. But for everybody who gets it wrong, these tokens, I forget what they're called, but these little tokens drain from your board, and as soon as they start running out, you then have to figure out, okay, which one of you is the traitor? Seriously, we're gonna die in here, or I'm gonna figure out which one of you is a traitor. But further beyond that, if you run out of those tokens, you're trapped. Tough, you lose. The winner, obviously, is the team. If the team can get out for all 6 rooms, then they win. If the traitor is able to stop them getting out, then the traitor wins by themselves. As you can tell, it's basically competitive or team versus 1 Mysterium. So yes, there's a lot of similarities, but we'll get onto that a bit more later. Firstly, aesthetics. It's libellud and it's about the picture cards. What do you want me to say? It looks gorgeous. All the times they put in this surreal artwork, it is gorgeous to behold. It's just really nicely done. Beautiful artwork. But on top of that, let me get some of those picture cards out. I mean, you'll see some in the pictures, but you got these really cool circular cards, and yeah, you ain't gonna find sleeves for these ever, okay? But these cards are really cool, and they have got all sorts of different artwork on them. There's a good selection of them, and you just know that they're gonna expand this up the wazoo at some point in the future, like they did with Mysterium, and just give you more picture cards. Great, that's all I need. But there's other little things in here, component-wise, that I really like. This book, especially, this is what holds the picture cards on it. So, for example, I'm just gonna put 2 out here now. There you go. Slots them in. No problem, I'm holding them up for you, and it looks like a big magic book, because that's what it is. The grimoire, effectively, is directing you out of this library. But then you've also got, if I can find them, I feel that they've gone, oh no, there they are. I thought they'd gone walkies. But you've got these 2 little pointers, and the book's magnetic. So you can point to the whole picture, you can point to a specific bit, but it's all magnetic. Yeah, if I tip this upside down, it's going to the cards are going to fall out, but I can hold it like that, no problem, and the pointers will not slip off. You know, it's really just nice component quality. You've got an insert in the box that holds everything nicely. It's just a very good production, which, as you would expect from libellud, I mean, come on, we've got, you know, Mysterium, we've got Seasons, and now Obscurio. When they make a game, they make it look good. They put effort into the production quality, and certainly it's no change here. Whether you like the box cover or not for being very much brown and blacks everywhere, but, you know, it's got that kind of Hogwarts dodgy library kind of vibe to it. It's a, you know, it's a pretty sweet production. Now, if you have played things like Dixit and Mysterium, it's going to be quite easy for you to get into this game, but the rules are really not that complicated. You know, the rulebook is not particularly big. You know, it is a very thin rulebook. Some of it is mainly just how do you interpret each of the trap tokens. You know, there is a reference, but, you know, you've got a page for the traitor, you've got a page for choosing the door, you've got a couple of pages for, no, 1 page for setup, and, you know, 2-page spread for setup, sorry, and 1 for components. I mean, there's not a lot of rules to absorb in here. This is suitable for Game Cafe. Could actually be a gateway game, I think. As much as I would probably say Mysterium is a better one to go for, or Dixit, for a first time into this kind of genre of games, I guess. I mean, what are you going to call this? The picture genre? But, you know, certainly those other 2 games I think are better for the first timer because they're co-op or party-esque. This one having a traitor element might be a bit much for, say, a first player to go, oh, wait a minute, what am I supposed to do if I'm the traitor? Ooh, you know, I don't know. You get that kind of vibe with it, but if you're used to this, you will pick this up in no time at all. I mean, I've shown plenty of people at the Dice Portsmouth Cafe, Mysterium, and, you know, Dixit as first-time games, so as soon as I break out this one, they're like, oh yeah, I get it, it's like that one, isn't it? Sweet, we're well on the way. The trap tokens are pretty nasty. I mean, they will hinder you like crazy, and you could have anywhere between 1 to like 4 or 5 of them at once. It really hurts. They do weird, funky stuff like, you know, you can't see all the pictures at once. You have to decide one at a time. The book has to put these filters on the book, which is like the red one is a pain because suddenly all the colours mushed out. This one, the wispy one's even more of a pain because the white bits can cover up useful information. It's, you know, they are nasty trap cards. You know, they really do up the difficulty. And if you want to tailor the difficulty, you've got 3 difficulty settings, different setups for player count. I'll make a big recommendation here, though. Whew, this one's a lot tougher than the other one. Mysterium had this problem where if you play it on medium, you get a reasonable, decent game. If you play it on hard, you get a decent challenge. You know, you beat it every now and again, but you'll get a good challenge. You play it on easy mode, and you will just steamroll over this game. There is no reason why you should lose the game on easy mode, to the point where I will never play on easy mode ever again. This one, though, I tried to do that the first couple of times I played, where it's like, you know what, we'll do it on medium, because I'm sure easy's too easy. And we got trounced by the traitor both times. This is not an easy game. This is harder to interpret the cards and what the book or ghost player is saying than it is in Mysterium, and certainly from Dixit. So I recommend you start this on easy. Definitely start this on easy. You know, having a traitor there, it can hurt quite a bit. So that's good. I'm glad that the difficulty is more accurate to what it is, although who's playing this on hard? I mean, wow. It's a challenge on easy. Medium is already what my equivalent of hard is. I don't even want to know what this is like with hard. Woo, I want to play a game, please, people. Bit over the top for me, but like I say, I've played this on easy and medium difficulty only. I've not actually tried hard difficulty because, frankly, I've lost enough times to not really want to do hard difficulties. I mean, it's hard enough trying to beat this game when you know each other. But if you're playing with a group of strangers, yeah, don't try hard. It's not going to work. Now, the game doesn't take very long. I mean, setup, teach, and play will take you about an hour or less. Perfect, great length for a game. 60 minutes, you get a good amount of fun, you have good banter, it's very interactive as you're discussing with other players what you're doing, trying to figure out who that traitor is, and and doesn't outstay its welcome. Fantastic, 60 minutes is a good length. Could be shorter if you do really badly. I mean, it's going to be problematic, but the rounds are pretty quick. There's the 2 cards, do the sleepy phase, wake up, discuss a little bit. Did we make it? No, right, carry on. Because you're going to run out of those tokens if you do bad enough anyway. But if you do well, then, well, you'll be out of the library now at that time. 60 minutes is a pretty good accurate for how long it takes. Now, player count is where things get a bit more sketchy though. This can theoretically play between 2 to 8 players. There is no reason to play this with 2 or 3 players at all. It is just pointless. You have got special rules in the back of the book as to how to handle it, but it is just not worth it. If you're playing something like this 2-player, why? There's other games I would rather play as a 2-player game. And 3 players, you've got to use a weird setup rule for that. But the problem is that when you've only got so many of you, one, with only 2 or 3 of you, you'd probably end up not using a traitor. So, well, you've just taken the main crux of this game out. Why don't I just play Mysterium then? But you also, like when you have to figure out the traitor, there's only so many of you in the group. It's not that difficult to figure them out. But, of course, you need to be able to figure them out well in order to get through the game. Really, this is one that I want to play with a bare minimum of 4 human players, in the sense that I want somebody to play the book and 4 other people discussing with each other. So a minimum of 5 players. I mean, it's the same thing with Dixit and Mysterium. You want a big group of people. I recommend 5 minimum. The more you can get, the better. So this is really a 5 to 8 player game. Perfect. Because, frankly, it's difficult to get games that work with 5 to 8 players, on a regular basis. This is kind of team/party-esque type game, but I mean, these ones like Mysterium and Dixit work great with that 5+ player crowd when you're like, what game am I going to do that uses this many people? Well, this one's a pretty good shout. So, all in all, really, really solid game. I really like it. It's definitely one of my favourites of the year. But I'm going to get onto this point again about the whole replacing Mysterium thing, because people are sort of going, oh yeah, this is better than Mysterium. Yeah, it replaces Mysterium for me. I still don't get that. Whether you need to own them both. I mean, I own Dixit, Mysterium, and this. So I've got 3 of them. This is what this publisher is doing at the moment. They're focusing on this type of game where it's all about interpreting pictures. And I love that mechanic. That mechanic is working so well for me in games lately. I mean, Mysterium, Dixit, Obscurio, Detective Club, that I gave a solid 9 out of 10 rating recently. Those sort of games I just love. There's something about the challenge of interpreting the pictures as well as getting into someone's head as to what are they interpreting from the picture, what are they trying to tell me. It just works so much better than the word game. Codenames is another example. I much prefer to play codenamed pictures than I do any of the other word-based games. It's just something about it that just sings to me. But with this, do you need to own this as well as the other ones? I'm afraid that's really just going to come down to personal preference. I mean, the main things to consider are this. Dixit is straight up a party game. Straight up party game. Yes, there's an overall winner, and I suppose that's the other main thing. There is one winner. There isn't multiple winners in that. But it's a straight up party game. You've got your cards. You can make up silly little clues. You're coming up with all this weird stuff in your head. It's very much the more gamer-friendly, young person-friendly version of these ones. So that's Dixit for you. Mysterium is a full co-op game. There is no traitor. There is no one person wins but the rest don't. No, you all win as a group. And it's familiar to people because of the whole Cluedo aspect of location, person, and weapon. Whereas this one doesn't have that. This one is definitely more of a challenge than Mysterium. Mysterium is easier to win at, whereas this one is definitely harder. But this one has the traitor element. So not everybody's going to win on their own, and I would say the traitor wins this far more often than the people do. So it just comes down to what is it you're looking for. Do you want best with young players and new gamers? Then go for Dixit. Do you want a full co-op experience, preferably, without the idea that somebody's against you? And did you like that whole Cluedo thing? Then grab Mysterium. Do you want the competitive variant here? Do you want the traitor aspect and certainly a much bigger challenge? Then grab Obscurio. Personally, I can have all 3 and I can just pick which one I want for the occasion because they're all fantastic games. But, some of you are going to have different opinions on that and that's fine. In which case, after what I've explained each 3 games are like, pick your poison. But honestly, I can't get on this idea that this one replaces Mysterium or Dixit. I mean, I've now got 4 games like this. Detective Club's effectively this. It's a different publisher, but it's the same type of game. 4. And I will keep all 4, and I will play all 4 because they're all fantastic games. Why does this have to replace another? I don't know. They even tried it with Deception Murder in Hong Kong, and that's on my shelf in the other room, so I've got another game that's a bit like this.
5 is right out.
Bit more abstracted, that one, but still, people thought that replaced Mysterium. It doesn't. Oh, they're all good. Can't we just have them all? I don't know, but that's a personal sort of rant in a sense. But, you know, everybody's got different reviews. That's the reason why we have such a diverse community. So, Obscurio, really good production, really good fun game. Bit of a challenge. It's certainly probably a bit too challenging, I think. You know, even on easy mode, it's a bit of a nightmare. But like I say, it all works well in a very, very quick package. This is getting a solid 9 out of 10 from me. Really enjoy it. It's definitely one of my favourites I've played this year. If you're like me and into that kind of interpreting picture style game, then this is definitely one to have a look at. And other than that, you just kind of got to decide what it is you're looking for in these games and pick the one that you think is best. So that's it for me, and regardless of whether you've trapped me in this library so I have to do nothing but read dreary books all day long, yeah, I'm not much of a reader, it's still only a game. Take care, and I'll see you next time.